Welcome back to another episode of The Cosmic Bridge. Firstly, a quick thank you. This week was Spotify Unwrapped, where you saw all the data around most listened to podcasts and things like that. And it was really great to see that we are in the top 5 podcasts of a lot of listeners. So a lot of you have spent many hours this year listening to my voice. I'm sure sometimes you get sick of me, but obviously we've had great guests on and we're going to continue to get even better guests on next year. So just wanted to say thank you as you're the people that allow us to do that. Now, enough promotion of the show. Let's get into today's guest, who is Dr. Ardeshir Mehran. He is a psychologist, lives in California, but he actually worked many years more in corporate leadership, but he didn't feel fulfilled while he was doing that. He's going to be talking about his own journey, about he struggled with his own depression and anxiety through those roles. And then he went back to his love, which was psychoanalysis, psychology. And now he's working with high-performing individuals who want help with depression and anxiety. And I like what he says, because he said depression is not the cause of your unhappiness. Your depression is the result of an unfulfilled life. And I really like this because often we look at depression, the symptoms of depression that come with it versus, hey, what are actually the things we can do right now to tackle it? And he's got this emotional bill of rights that he's going to be talking about as some things that we can do right now. So let's get into it. It's quite an actionable podcast, this one, so I think you're going to like it. Well, Ardeshir, thanks a lot for joining me today. You're out in San Francisco, you said, so it's 9 a.m. your time, right? Bright and early in the day.
9 o'clock. Thank you so much, Michael. Great to be with you and with your audience. Thank you for invitation.
Yeah, no, absolute pleasure. So before we get into kind of a lot of the philosophical stuff around depression and a lot of your expertise, I wanted to start with your own journey. How did you end up in this role with what you're doing now as like psychology? Like, tell us a bit more about yourself and your own personal journey.
Got it. Thank you. If there's one trait you want to characterize me by, is good problem solver. Like I'm by nature, I'm a very skeptical scientist. I don't trust anything the science says. I need to see it and see the proof myself. So I went to graduate school and I got my doctorate, triple major, 4 masters, and so on. I was trying to understand, why do people emotionally get sick, and especially about depression and anxiety. And the reason was twofold. One, I was deeply curious and skeptical that we psychologists understand it, versus falling in love with the symptom, categories, diagnosis. And B, was my own struggle with depression, my family, my mom and dad, siblings. And I come to realize that so many people, they get depressed, they get anxious, and they think this is life. Life sucks, deal with it. Life, just, you get punched in the face. And yes, stuff happens in life, but when struggles stays and become dormant, you don't see them, that's not normal. And I refuse to accept that. And because I knew what it feels like to be depressed day after day, year after year, and it's just like a heaviness, like a cloud over your heart, your soul, and you can't shake it off. I went to 7 psychologists, psychiatrists, medications. Things would get better, but never quite get better. So started to research, go back to the foundation, that what is mental illness, especially depression and anxiety, which they feed each other. They are not the same. And that revealed itself to me that actually we don't understand them. We're trying to fix something we think is broken. Actually, they are invitations. That became my work, and I'm bringing it to the world, sharing it with anybody who cares to listen, saying that actually we can heal depression, not just tolerate them. We can heal anxiety. And that's my give back to the life.
So you mentioned around you had your own battles with depression as well. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's right. So depression is when you have it, you don't realize it. So when you grow up as a kid, you just feel that you daydream. There's a heaviness, there's a sense of gloom, and the darkness on your heart. And you just feel it, that there's a sense of, I'm not quite right. What's fascinating, both when I was a kid and all the way to corporate environment. People want to be around me. They literally, they called me the life of the party. There was no gathering that they didn't invite me. And had a smiling, face and a positive demeanor. And but you just feel I'm not right. And I just feel and I had a lot of energy. I run marathons. I do open water swim, but I just feel I'm not right. Life is full of, life is a void, basically. There was a darkness and heaviness. And I was exercising very hard not to succumb to the lethargy of depression. But it was this dread and a sense of there's nothing there, future is bleak, while I was still very a spiritual person doing my prayers, all of that. And then I realized it was my mom's, it was my dad's, and when I talked to other people around me, which I knew they had depression, they had certain characteristics. They were in their eyes, they were looking for something. They felt there were things missing in them, in the world. They were using terms like, someday I will do this, someday that will happen. They were waiting. And so it just, and it was then that was my learning that depression at its core, it's a sense of grieving, a loss, a mourning. That you grieve something, you don't even know what it is. You lost something, but you don't know what it is, and you're searching. It's that heaviness that it felt like that, and I was keep looking. And that lasted years.
Wow. So when was this? When was it you were depressed, and when, did you come out of everything?
So the way it happened, so it basically, as far as I know, I was always depressed. When you grow up in certain family, and especially when there's a story of family struggle, trauma, their family issues, you enter that depressive state. And so I went through life, and I was a great student, great employee, trusted, the father, spouse, and so on. The way for me coming out, it was around 2012, and especially that summer, that August of 2012, that it was basically, I thought I'm dying, that I was crumbling under the weight of heaviness, of depression, and also anxiety attack, while I was in a key leadership role and I wanted to get things done. And it was at that time, in that August, I remember the day, the third Sunday of August 2012, that when I woke up in the morning on Sundays, I always wake up 6:30 to journal, to write, and to read with a cup of black coffee next to me. That two questions came to me. Instead of asking, how do I heal my depression? How do I live better? I ask a different question. What is depression? And why healing depression takes so long? When I went to what is depression and the why, that put me in a whole different trajectory to the science of depression. And that's when I realized that our knowledge of depression actually is an unsettled science. There's so much holes in it. We think we, as clinicians, figured it out. I'm a psychologist. They actually know there are things we still don't know. We focus on the symptoms of depression. Symptoms is not the same thing as depression. And that became the genesis of my book, which is really detailed the research, studies, and practices, which title is that you are not depressed, you are unfinished. Depression is a life unlived, promises of a life, of a soul, of a greatness unfulfilled. Once you know that, depression literally shifts, becomes energy.
So what are some of it sounds like you think there's a lot of mistakes that are being made in terms of the way we view depression, and we're looking more at the symptoms, as you said. So what do you think are some of the errors we're making at the moment?
So here, go do Google, go pick up any book on depression, any book. You will see chapter after chapter about the symptoms of depression, lower energy, diminished joy, yeah, concentration, have a hard time thinking. Your body basically wants to go to fall to sleep. Then you see your digestive system, your stomach really gets messed up, your heart rate, the start to slow down. Basically, body mimics death. So those are symptoms of depression. When we go to a psychologist or to clinician, their focus is that diagnose that. So yes, okay, Ardeshir or Michael, you're depressed, and the symptoms, and their job is to help you manage those symptoms and lessen them, and so you can get back to life. Because depression really immobilizes you. A harder part to pay attention to is, why are you depressed? Depression is always goal focused. For attention is to, I'm depressed about something. I'm not just depressed. And that's a discussion, requires some conversation. So when you go and says, I'm depressed, the question we want to be asking, tell me more. When you're in the state of depression, what's beneath that? What comes up for you? Are there ideas? Are there urges, longings you have? They're really allowing people to free associate. What comes up for you? Because when we're depressed, there are three emotional expressions we are engaged. Three. This is important to know. One is that people, they go there and at the emotional level, I am stuck. I feel bad. I feel horrible. I want to take my life. I cannot eat. Just talk about emotions. The next one is that there's a narrative. Life is horrible. Nobody loves me. I'm stuck. Somebody did this to me. My mom, my dad. So there's a narrative. There are stories. There are memories come up. This is the cognitive, the thoughts. The third one is people are searching for something. That I wish I had more money. I wish I had a Ferrari. I wish in this neighborhood, I lived in a different neighborhood. I was born in the wrong house. My siblings, they make me crazy. I wish I had better siblings. People are talking about a life that they are wanting, or want less of something more. That's where the kernel of wisdom is. Tell me more. What else is going on? Because when you go to that level, you're helping the person tap into what they're searching, what they're wanting, what they're needing. And it was through my research over 30 years, I learned that people, they are looking for certain emotional experiences, which is the essence of my book. The backbone of that is that there are, I call them emotional rights.
Yeah.
That there are 7 emotional rights. These are cradle to grave. They've been in humanity all the way to scriptures, the Old Testament, New Testament, and all the books throughout. That there are 7 emotional rights that we all are born to experience them in our lifetime. Everybody has them. Parents don't give it to us.
Yeah.
Teachers and so on. So when the conversation goes to the emotional rights, you literally see people come alive. They realize that I'm not just depressed. I'm depressed about there are those rights, one or multiple of them are broken, violated, unfulfilled, and people become focused. That's what psychology is missing right now. We stay in the realm of, let me help you feel less depressed so you can go back to life, which we do, but then depression comes back again. So people in therapy, they know depression is hard to shake off. It comes back. The reason is you're managing the symptoms, not the causes.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting. So essentially, it's, as you said, so the problem is we're looking too much at the symptoms and not the causes. It sounds in terms of evaluating the causes, you've put together this bill of 7 rights. Can you run us through what each of those rights are?
That's right. I love what you just said, Michael. Depression is a consequence, is not a cause. That's the reason it's coming back. So there are 7 emotional needs that happen right at birth. And then let me name them, and then I come back to them. And I state them in terms of affirmation. We all have them.
Okay.
I belong. I am boundless. I am complete. I matter. I make. I am, and I soar. We all have them, experience them all throughout our lives. So I belong is the essential quality of connection, of love, affection, being in relationship, love be given and received. So I don't feel alone. I feel there's a connection. For many people, that's frayed. I'm boundless is that what happened in the modern psychology, we talk about the talking heads, that we don't realize we as human beings, and we know this from neurology, we experience life with our entire bodies. That even the term mental illness scientifically is incorrect. There's nothing mental about it. We feel emotions in the body, not in the brain. So our emotions, pain, joy, sadness, elation, they're all physical experiences. We haven't been taught how to be in full body, and we're just trying to do talk therapy. Emotions don't respond to talk. You need to bring body in. That's about I'm boundless, being fully expressive. I am complete. So many people go through their lives burdened with shame, guilt that my life was unfulfilled. I'm broken. I didn't get to experience X, Y, and Z. It's about helping people to realize that your life is happening right now. You can create a new life and learn to tolerate, come to terms with your past, but your life can be recreated right here, right now, going forward. I'm complete. I matter is about the essence of dignity, honor, being a person among others. There are so many people invisible in this society. Just go to any conference room in downtown, like restaurants. People enter, nobody sees them, no eye contact, nobody calls their names. We crave to be seen as a member of any gathering, both be seen and for us to bring it to others, that I matter. Next one is I make. Everybody is doing something on this earth. Everybody. The labor of love. Majority of people, almost between 70 to 80% based upon the surveys you use, they are in a soulless jobs. You have mortgage to pay, bills to pay, you need to take care of yourself. You're just basically tolerating something that is not your work. It has a punishing impact on you. That happened to me. I was a corporate executive making good money, promoted. That wasn't my work. I hated the work. This is my work. So when you're in your work, you're coming alive. You don't look at the clock anymore. You are really fueled about creation. And you could be putting cement, or you're just creating a wonderful mathematical theory. Next one is I am. Everybody has a voice, has a conviction, has a belief. Most people share that in a very subtle, and a lot of time they don't share it. What is your belief? Bring in your voice, your connection, claim your space at the table among others. So your views are shared in the world. And the final one is I soar. We all have a purpose. There's behind me, you can see there's a flip chart by Maya Angelou, American poet and philosopher. And the line says that there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Everybody has a story. Majority of people don't know it. They don't want to know it because that scares them. And fulfilling their stories. So we go to life living somebody else's story.
Yeah.
Once you know your story, why you're here on this earth in this lifetime, what are you trying to do to leave behind a mark in this world? You will become like a rock of Gibraltar. You become a strong, unshakable. So those 7 needs, once you know them and you feel them in your core, they awaken you. You don't negotiate those anymore. Say, I want this. And you will make some hard choices, but you will come alive. Your depression, literally, you see dissipate and shift and goes away.
Yeah, I really like that Maya Angelou quote. And
Yeah.
I think that the Bill of Rights is great. So let's break it down. I've got it up here as well from your social media. So number one was I belong, and
Yes.
I think I definitely relate to this on two aspects, right? Which is one is more and more people are moving to the city. I actually grew up in London, and it's often funny in that in cities you're
Yeah.
around so many people, you're around millions of people, and there's so many chances to connect, or you do have conversations, but they're kind of superficial conversations
Yes.
versus
Yes.
those like deeper conversations. So I guess that's kind of around that topic.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And thank you so much. This is about connection. This is not about how many likes you have. And connection, there's eye to eye, body close to each other. And if it makes sense based on relationship, even physical touch, that to your point, I work in corporation, people sit side by side in cubicle, in conference room, they are isolated. They are not related. We think being in a room full of people means connection. No, connection means that I see you, you see me, I can be with you, and you can be with me. Many people don't have that, including in relationships, in parental, that essential connection. It is so key, and that's one of the reason. So, in fact, in the United States, there was a book came up 2 years ago. We have epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah.
We don't realize it. There's loneliness, and that's one of the reasons people go to addiction. Addiction is substitution. That for the needs, those human connection, we don't have it, and just so hurtful. Just trying to numb ourselves.
What's the solution for I belong? What are some things people can do?
Beautiful. So the solution is that the people think I need to take roses and be certain different ways. It just being vulnerable, being with whoever you are. Different people fulfill different needs. We have relatives, we have parents, siblings that make us crazy. The way to do that, going to those connections, into those relationships, and just being and sharing as you are, your emotions, your needs, and hearing the other person inside the conversation. Doesn't mean it's going to be nirvana.
No.
Every relationship has frictions, have arguments, but it means that you honor somebody else's need for connection, and you ask, do you bring your emotions in the table to be discussed? This is about being together and together creating, whether it's a project, is a date, or just a trip. So being together, showing up as you are with all your vulnerabilities heard and all your passion and love.
Okay. I am boundless. Number two. I like this. I think I saw a study. I can't remember who it was by that said if you think about someone else just for a second, because a lot of depression and anxiety comes from us like in our own minds, in our own small world, not thinking about like the bigger picture, other people, our family, other things. But yeah, I'm boundless. I guess this kind of ties into the bigger picture, like how I guess connection is there as well.
Yeah, this is also being in the nature. We are biological creatures. We are lionesses and lions in Serengeti. With the 20th century, we became talking heads, and our bodies became a vehicle for transportation of our brain. So what we know, in fact, from research, let's say you manage a business, Michael, that people think better, both in terms of quality and quantity of the brainstorming when they're standing up versus sitting around the table. You have a meeting, put like a flip chart on the wall, or like a writing, papers, give everybody, says, hey guys, let's get up, here's a marker, brainstorm. What research over and over shows, you get much better data, faster input, and higher quality of information. We think with our entire body, because thinking, feeling is a very three-dimensional experience versus just in our head. And being in the nature, when we in the nature, our body feels calmer, level of cortisol and adrenaline drops. What research also shows, during the the pandemic, when we were sitting hours after hours, at the end of the day, people would call me and says, Ardeshir, I was sitting all day, but I'm feeling exhausted. The reason you're exhausted, your body, when you're immobilized for a long time, creates stress hormones because your body feels there's something wrong. When you're moving, you process hormones and your body feels more attuned, feels healthier. This is about being completely attuned to your body and engage them in your experience.
Yeah, I've definitely found that with, like you said, being, again, because I live in a city, going into nature, even if it's a park in the city, you suddenly feel more relaxed. Let's move on to I am complete.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm just trying to think, I guess we all have moments of self-doubt. And is this kind of around, living in the moment? And I guess how would you explain this in more detail?
Yeah, so that's wonderful. Is living in the moment, and there's science in living in the moment. So what we know since early 80s, there's been a tremendous research coming from pain clinics, trauma centers, even military hospitals working with PTSD, with trauma. What it showed that historically, we've been taught that what you remember is your reality, all the way going to Sigmund Freud, that talk therapy, what happened to me when I was a child, the psychoanalysis, conscious, unconscious, so on. What we know from research, all of those are interesting, they're irrelevant to human experience. That brain has fragments of what happened to us. The experience of living always happens in the moment. Emotions are in the body, and body has no sense of time. So if you have anxiousness, anxiety, or trauma, what it means, your body thinks those experiences are still happening. So the journey of healing is to work to release that, to process what is going on with you right here, right now, to move the experience out of your body. The energy gets processed, and often it doesn't really help what happened to you. It's about at this moment, what is helpful to you. The journey of completeness, I'm complete, is that you're already complete. You need to come, own your life, your being in this very moment, that you're already complete. You just don't know it.
Yeah, I was thinking with the I am complete thing, because I think especially, I mean, I'm sure this has always been a problem throughout the history of humanity, but we're often now seeking external validation, especially with things like we live in a more capitalist society, more consumerism, but then you've also got social media, right, and likes and all these things. So I guess that's also adding to the problem, because we're seeking out external validation.
Versus I have it here. I already have it here. Yeah, the journey of healing that you're already complete right now. How do you use it to go forward versus trying to say, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, I wish I had that. You're good right now. Build on what you have.
Nice. Okay. I matter. And so this seems, you gave the example of some people walk in the room and no one's noticing them, which is obviously pretty soul destroying. So I guess this is kind of around recognition.
This is recognition and appreciation and acknowledging. Like in the US, I'm sure you know this, there are so many frequent mass shootings going on. The research after research shows these are predominantly 99% are men, and they all talk about being invisible in the society. That is the act of rage, that the final act of their life is that, hey, I exist, see me. That when you see somebody, acknowledging them, hearing their opinion, inviting them, sit at the table, and sense of honoring, that is a major human need. Animals have that too. You see that, like I have a golden retriever. When I ignore her, she just gets her ball and come and put it in my face and says, hey, it's our playtime. We all have a need to be acknowledged, to be seen, and be interacted with.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that one's probably a very clear one. We number 5, I make. So I guess this goes a little bit into the profession side of things and your career.
And whatever you do, it could be profession, could be art, could be the side hustle, whatever you do, is this your thing? Are you coming alive? We all have a gift.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs to be a Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or you name it, all the rich and famous. We all doing something in this earth. Do you know what is your thing? Are you doing it to your fullest?
Yeah.
Because that, once you do that, it becomes it's the act of love, act of devotion, act of creation. We all are doing something on this earth.
Yeah, I think sometimes people maybe they're a little bit on the fence and they're not sure of, am I just doing this job for money? Am I just doing this to tick a
Yeah,
box to please my parents or whoever it
yeah,
is?
yeah.
How do you, I guess with your clients, how are you deciding if they are being fulfilled? Like you said,
Yeah,
the opposite of depression is fulfillment. How
yeah,
are
yeah.
they actually deciding if it's the case or not?
Great question. Is about how do you know if the things you do fulfills you? You follow the energy. Like if the follow the energy and see where your mind goes. The things that you like doing, a lot of them are mind or daydream or whimsical thinking. Say, oh, I love that work. I saw Angus Young playing guitar on the stage. I want to be a guitar player. I want to be a rock bander. See, what do you daydream about? See, what are you thinking about? You read the news, social media, something says, I love that. Stay about where your brain goes, where your energy, your fascination goes. And the work you do, as you do the work, just think about, are you enjoying this? Do you feel fulfilled? Sense of fulfillment is you do something and it could be really hard work saying that, I like this. I feel alive. People use the term, when you do something, you're in your zone, you feel alive. It doesn't feel like work anymore. I feel alive. You could be pouring concrete on the street. I feel alive.
Yeah.
That's when you do that, just follow the energy, then you know. And many people in the corporate environment, you have a duty and you do
Yeah.
it very well, but you daydream about something else. Someday I will do
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because I always think of corporate zombies, and that's the opposite of what you said, which
Yes,
is the being alive,
yes.
right? So yeah.
Corporate
Uh,
zombies. We all gone through that. I've gone through that, and that sucks the life out of us. We don't want to do that. It's not
yeah,
good.
yeah, 100%. And then I am.
Um,
Yeah, do you want to explain this one? This is probably the most
but
abstract one, so it'd be good to hear her.
yeah, so this is interesting. The way that I came upon it, it was about 15 years ago, working with people, the business people that would come to me in the space of, they say, Ardeshir, I just was promoted. I want to work on my presence, self-confidence on the stage. And I was working with them, men and women, and I noticed something very peculiar, that as they were talking, as it seemed we were having a usual conversation, and as they were trying to present something, their voice would become raspy and had a hard time talking. It was as if their throat would get tighter. I would ask them, what's going on over there? They were talking about the back of their shoulders, feeling a tension, the jaws getting tighter. So it seems their throat became tighter as they were trying to project their ideas. They'd be vulnerable
Mm.
to presenting that. There is an amazing woman in London. Her name is Patsy Rodenberg.
Right.
That she wrote a book about 15 years ago. The title is that The Right to Speak. Is about our inner conviction projected to the world as our voice. She does coaching for actresses and actors on the stage and on the theater. And the whole notion is that as we present our voice, our ideas, our recommendation to the world, how easy it is for us. Are we holding back? Are we holding the emotions, our convictions? You work in corporation, just notice that many times when people talk about something, it becomes flat. It becomes monotone. They're trying to be they're trying to be politically correct. So become basically talking heads devoid of anything. This is about whatever you say, does it show the color of your conviction, of your belief? And do you take a stand for your belief? Your ideas could be the worst ideas. We can work on it. But do you present them? Do you present them as you believe in them? Many people hold back and become pleaser and appeaser. Tell me what you think. No, no, after you, tell me what you think. No, no. This is about sharing your ideas as you believe in them, honestly, earnestly, and fully. Many people don't do that, especially in work environment.
Yeah, definitely.
Interestingly enough, children don't have this problem. Children, when you ask them something, so just, if you have a 21-year-old son, but when you raise a kid from age of 4 to 6, we tell them, don't use your hand, don't be fidgety, use your words, make sure I understand you, just sit quiet. We teach children to become talking heads.
Yeah.
So they lose that colorful, energetic excitement of that, your conviction. This is about you being you and sharing your being fully.
So it's almost as you get older, you lose some of that innocence where
Absolutely.
you're completely yourself as a youngster. And then as you get older, you're slowly taking bits of yourself away almost.
Absolutely. Like one of the ways to do that, so example, as you see here, I have a diary. I had kept diaries since like I was a teenager, big stack of them. Many people write in their diaries things that never expressed to the world. Part of that makes sense, but it's about the way you want to be in this world. What's in your diary? That's how you think. That's how you feel. That's how you are you. Is that being heard by anybody? So we all have what is called false self, the public self and the private self that never gets the daylight. This is about you being one person.
Yeah. Interesting. And then the last one I thought I'd clarify, just looking at page SOAR. So when you say SOAR, it's SOAR.
Yes.
So this is about being bold, being courageous. So yeah, I guess what's stopping people from doing that? Because I guess this is quite similar to what you said earlier as well.
Yeah, so basically we come to this life and we feel we follow pathways. I have a role, I'm a corporate person, I'm working in this city, that we follow somebody else's story. This is about having your story and where you're going with that. This is about sense of purpose, sense of meaning. What am I creating? What am I leaving behind? What do I want on my deathbed to think about? I made a difference in this life. It doesn't mean that there are people who create innovations, programs, corporation. Could be a relationship, could be flowers, can be a garden, can be a farm or field, that you're doing things that is your gift to the world. Has several elements to that. Element of soaring has something to give back to humanity, element of service. This is not about just, I create a lot of wealth for me that I can purchase more. That will not fulfill you. And you do something for humanity to make the life of the people around you, city or nations, better. There's an element of you go where the struggle is. People say, where is that? And I tell them that you're already in it. You just don't realize it. That wherever you live, the people around you, your workplace, your neighborhood, you make a difference in the quality of the living people around you, that your life matters. Your contribution matters. You take on something and you fix it. That's the journey of soaring. Like, when you look at I think about Mother Teresa. She, a nun, went to the slum of Calcutta, just where you go, where suffering is. So this is about making a difference. The work I do right now, Michael, is going there unabashedly about helping people address their depression. Many people, we don't even have data, we know that is high, come to tolerate, I'm depressed, this is how I'm going to die. I tell them, no, you can actually heal it. So I'm staying focused on telling people you can come out of the darkness.
Yeah.
So soaring is that make a difference with wherever you are, so that your impact has made a difference in other people's lives.
How do you, so going back to the I matter one, because I'm just thinking about the solution side of things here. I feel like that's for me, that was the most difficult one on there, because I couldn't imagine being that person where, because some of the other ones I related to a lot, as you said, I feel like I walk everywhere, no one notices me at all. I've got no role at all in the world.
Yeah.
How would you advise a client like that? Or what can they, how can they feel like they matter? What's the solution then?
That's right. So I matter is a sense of equality. Like if it's sense of that you, wherever you are in the society, your community, your gathering, your family, whether you and others, they have equal voice, equal place, and equal rights. That you are not above or below anybody else. You are at the table equal to me. You have a right, one vote for you, one vote for me. That this is about, so when you meet with others, let's say, so you manage a team, you have an organization, going around the table says, what do you think, person one? What do you think, person two? Hearing everybody's opinion doesn't mean you agree with them. You can respond, say, you know what, based upon X, Y, and Z, I like this idea. I like part of that idea. That third idea is pretty rubbish. But you hear people. You allow people voices be heard and a space to take. And you become one of the group as a leader, and you work with that. We do the same thing with family. A lot of time families have kids, and the kids more or less, they are told, you do this because mom and dad believe in that. No, kids have a voice, have an idea. They want to be mattering at the table, and they have a voting right as a kid. You may disagree with them, but still they matter. And the same thing with society. We have uptown, we have a downtown, we have a slums, we have a rich people. Certain groups, they see themselves superior or inferior to others. This is about all men are equal. And then you honor them, you respect them for that, for them taking their space.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, I really like the Bill of Rights. We'll put some information about that in the show notes as well. Last topic I wanted to touch on is there's a lot of business people that listen to the podcast, was around depression and anxiety with entrepreneurs. I wouldn't say I've ever been depressed, but certainly suffer from anxiety, like I think many other entrepreneurs. And I think you told me before an alarming stat around like how much higher it is in entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We know from research, they're in US based, but over the years, entrepreneurs, leaders, founders, executives, they have 2 to 3 times higher rate than general population in anxiety, depression, attention deficit disorder, ADHD, addiction, obsessive compulsive, bipolar, including suicide. So it's almost all of them. So in other words, they suffer a lot more. And yet you don't see it. These are people, having worked with them, they look great, they do great, they are very successful. But there's a shadow side to them that they know, and they're struggling. So let me explain it in 2 ways. So why is that? People who are entrepreneurs, business people, they are master of this chart in resiliency. Resiliency is the skill of bouncing back. Adversity, struggle, you see it, you fix it, and you move on. So they treat their own emotions, the struggles that I deal with it, I got it. So they numb themselves, they compartmentalize, they put it aside, and they go on to do the great work they do in the business world. So in other words, they tolerate things, they sit on it. The shadow side is when you work with them, when we ignore something in our head, we express them in our bodies. So we know that entrepreneurs, the high achievers, they have a higher rate of gastrointestinal problems, especially in women, churning gut, like all sort of stomach problems. That's where anxiety resides. So they go to doctors a lot. They have medications. If you ask them, open your cabinet or your drawers, there's so many medication for their gut. Similarly, for cardiovascular, for their heart, for their blood pressure. Then we know in those high achievers, they have a sudden heart attack. They just drop dead. Or they have all sort of body aches and pains that they go to doctors. They call them functional medicines. They do an MRI, they do a scan. There's nothing wrong, but body's aching. These are dormant signs of anxiety and depression. Body basically gets compromised. So the way to do that, and my work has been to share with the business world professionals that anxiety and depressions, these are not something broken about you. You're just fine. Actually means there are emotions unaddressed. You are tolerating. You are accepting that certain emotional needs. It's okay for you not to have good relationships. It's okay for you not fulfilling the role you want to have. Once you know you have untapped emotions, what it does, actually, you can be even more successful. You can even go higher and you can be more and achieve more. So there's a greatness within you that is eluding you and you don't even realize it. They're just basically in a state of, being locked down right now. So the journey of healing, the journey of being great, that's what I title of my book, that you can be unfinished. Go finish your work and you see you can even go higher, be even more successful and be more vibrant.
Yeah. So very, very interesting. As I said, definitely relate on the anxiety part. I can think of a specific instance that happened recently. So we're a team of 6, but we all got together, and we're all in different parts of the world. We all got together recently, and the girl I work with, Kat, basically there was a client we had that was at risk of churn, and she managed the account, and she said to me, "Oh, I can't believe how calm you are given the situation. If I was in your position, it was my and I was calm on the outside, but on the inside, I wasn't calm, right? And this is, like you're saying, often we hide these things. Some of my solutions are, because I don't think you want to show the team how you're panicking inside, because it makes them panic as well. So some of the things I do, I talk to my partner, Anna. She's often a bit of like a therapist, maybe, because I can talk things through with her. And then I realize, hey, things aren't actually so bad when they come out of my mouth. I just need a sounding board almost. And then also I'm a man of faith. So I pray to God. And then that makes me take myself out of my body as well. But yeah, I don't know if you think those are good solutions as well, talking with family or partners or whoever it is, right? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. When we're feeling anxious and we're feeling that the things happening, there are 3 things going on. That anxiety is about perceived control, stability, and ownership of a situation. We feel we are going to a free fall, a sky free fall. So our body, our brain trying to find some landing, some place to land. So once we know that, and knowing that also anxiety is not in our head, we cannot think it away. We cannot get 10 steps to come out of it. It happens in a gut level. Our body feels unsettled. There are some practical things we can do in the moment. One is that if you're in the room, like with a client, like put your hand on the table as a way, basically you want to tap into your 5 senses. Put your hand on the table, grab a pen. So actually like you work with the pen so that your body feels I'm here, that you are not into free fall. Or a smell of something, or just you're looking at the client and see the light, can see the wall color or painting, and just as a way you can settle in your body. The next thing happens when we feel anxious, we have almost go in and out. We feel isolated. Oh my gosh, everything is on my shoulder. I need to figure this out. You're a leader, so something like that, telling folks in the teams that, guys, we need to figure this out. This is a big project. I need some good ideas here. So you are not all by yourself. You need to carry the world on your shoulder. The third thing is when we feel anxious, we feel we don't diminished sense of agency. Agency means you have control over something. You can impact the outcome. So presence, connection, and agency. Once we tap into those through our five senses, connection is me and others, I'm not alone, and agency, that what can I do right now to make a dent, make it better, baby step, our body calms down. Our breathings open up. Our spine literally can allow us to sit back and just see the 360 view around us. So you can physically shift the element of being in a state of anxiousness.
Nice. Last question I have. So you mentioned obviously earlier you used to have this leadership role. You were in supposedly a successful position, had good material wealth, but you weren't happy. What now? It sounds like you feel more fulfilled. You've written this emotional bill of rights. What advice would you give to your younger self when you were feeling, that anxiety, depression, etc.?
Yeah. So what happened? So I was in pursuit. I went to therapists year after year, New York and San Francisco. They were trying to help me feel less bad, dealing with the symptoms. The question that I wish somebody asked me is, Ardeshir, how is life going for you? How is life going for you? Could have asked me about 20 versus that, Ardeshir, you're feeling bad, that what can you do to feel better? What's missing, for you, How is life going for you? And then as I give some answers, the next thing is that tell me more. What else has been going on? Because the experience of what's life going for you is a fuzzy question. We are not trained to think about. We think, oh, I need to get a better job. I need more money. I need to get promoted. I would go at the surface level about what's going on. How is life going for you? And then it owes bill of rights that what's going on with your relationships? Are there people who see you? Do you feel being seen, loved, and held? Do you feel what you're doing really you have your mojo? How is your physical health going? As a way for me to tap into myself. My therapists, they were wonderful. We became friends. They were at the symptom level. So they got my symptoms right. They missed me. They missed helping me getting to know me. If I realize that, how is life going for you? I would realize I'm not a corporate guy. I'm a therapist, a psychotherapist. I'm an explorer. I'm a researcher. I need to get back to my roots. So these days, I left my corporate world 2 years ago at the height of my career to do this work. Left behind stock option, all of that. So this work that bring my message, my book to the world, saying that suffering is discretionary. It's not affliction. And that's all I'm staying focused on.
Yeah. Love it. Love your journey. I really like the Bill of Rights. And it sounds like that's your book, right? It kind of goes into a lot of detail.
That's right. That's right. You all have it. And you go to my book and to my website. It's there. Use it. And once you know this, I invite listener to go and read the Bill of Rights. As you mentioned, it's there. Once you get my book, which I know a number of folks in England, after US, England, and then Canada, they are the biggest purchaser of my book. It became Amazon bestseller. Each chapter, you get to know the science, multiple examples of people like us, how they went through the Bill of Rights and the work they did come out of them. And each chapter also has a Spotify of 10 songs, the global artists, that once you know the Bill of Rights, you realize that it's been in music, in art, in literature, all around us. Nobody taught us that. So there are songs, beautiful songs in each one of those rights expressed. So you become very attuned to people around you when they talk. they're talking in codes about their rights. So that allows you to know this person is really struggling with sense of connection, or I am, or I work. So you can have real, faster conversation. People will love being around you once you do that. Say, he gets me, she gets me, I feel connected. So you become a lot more attuned to people.
And is there like a playlist on Spotify?
It is. You go there. Exactly. Playlist. All you do is scan it on your phone and just download it to your phone right away. It's a playlist. It's a cool,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation today.
Same here, Michael. Thank you so much. Best of everything to you and your listeners.
As a bit of a summary, I thought we could go through those Bill of Rights again. So 7, which is I belong. So as we talked about, a lot of people are feeling lonely in the world we live in. Even if they live in a city, they're around lots of people, they're not feeling that connection. I am boundless. Things like connection with things outside of you, like nature. Loads of studies around how nature can help you feel more connected to yourself and lower rates of depression. I'm complete means you're enough. You don't need social media, external validation. You're enough as yourself. I matter. This is about being recognized as well, and how we matter, how we are equal to others. He obviously talked about equality under the Constitution and things like that. I make, and this was interesting. This was around how fulfilled you are, and he talked about, is your job, is what you're doing giving you life, right? If it's taking life away from you, as I said, corporate zombies, maybe a sign you want to do something else. I am, and this probably goes a little bit into the I am complete part as well, and also not withholding. He talked about, in jobs, often people are not fully being themselves. And then I saw, which is about being bold, being courageous, which again ties into, doing the things that you think are truly right and a part of yourself versus relying on someone else. So if you like these Bill of Rights, write them down, share them with others, share the podcast. Again, subscribe to us, as I always say, it really helps the show. And yeah, we will see you next week.